Whispers of the Void Queen. Listen, in the black between galaxies, where even light forgets its own name, something ancient was waiting for a single human voice. Kael Draven sat alone in observation ring 9 of Station Erebus, legs folded beneath him on the cold deck, staring at a nebula that looked like a bruise across the universe. 38 years old, decorated diplomat, breaker of treaties and maker of fragile pieces, he had not slept properly in months. Sleep felt like betrayal now. It reminded him how empty the other side of the bed had always been. Then the silence inside his skull cracked open. It was not sound, it was pressure, the way a hand might settle on the back of your neck when you are a child afraid of the dark. A woman's voice, low as the tide inside a seashell, spoke one sentence that was not in any language humanity had ever catalogued. "You will never be alone again, Kael Draven." He jerked upright. The station's AI registered no transmission, no life signs beyond the 12 crew members asleep in their pods. Yet the voice returned, softer, amused, curious. "I have been watching you watch the dark. You look for something you believe is lost. I can give it back." Kael's pulse hammered against his ribs. He should have called security. Instead, he whispered, "Who are you?" A pause, long enough for stars to be born and die. "I am what remains when everything else has learned to speak with one mind. My children call me Nixara. My enemies call me the Void Queen. You may call me whatever you need me to be." The lights in the ring dimmed without command. Where the nebula had glowed violet and wounded red, a new shape unfolded. Millions of motes of cold white light arranging themselves into the silhouette of a woman taller than any human could stand. Not flesh, not machine. A constellation wearing the memory of skin. Her eyes were galaxies collapsing. Kael could not move. He had negotiated with hive minds before, had smiled across tables at creatures that ate their own young to prove a point. None of them had ever looked at him the way Nixara did now, like he was the first surprising thing in 1,000,000,000 years. She extended a hand made of night and starlight. "Come walk with me." And because loneliness is its own gravity, he did. They did not walk through corridors. They walked through memory. One moment, he was a boy on Terra Nova, chasing fireflies across summer fields that no longer existed. The next, he was older, standing on the bridge of a burning frigate, watching the woman he'd almost married die in a bloom of plasma. Nixara never interrupted. She simply added details he had forgotten. The smell of crushed grass, the exact shade of his lover's eyes when she realized the hole was breached. Each gift came wrapped in something new, moments he had never lived. A quiet morning on a planet with 3 suns, her fingers threading through his as they watched auroras dance across liquid mercury oceans. A night in a city made of music, where they kissed until dawn forgot to arrive. He began to live for the hours when the station slept, and the Queen filled his skull with impossible yesterdays. The crew noticed first in small ways. Ensign Patel swore he had served with Kael for 12 years, not 4. Dr. Okonokwo found childhood drawings in Kael's quarters, sketches of nebulae shaped like a woman's profile, signed in a hand that was not his own. Admiral Reyna arrived on the emergency shuttle 3 weeks later, face carved from the same steel as her uniform. She had once shared Kael's bed during a 6-month campaign against the Helix clans. Now she stared at him like he was a stranger wearing a dead man's name. "Kael, who the hell have you become?" she asked, her voice cracking. He smiled the way people smile in dreams they don't want to wake up from. "I've become hers." That night, Nixara showed him the truth. She brought him, not in vision but in body, to the heart of her domain, a cathedral of living crystal drifting in the interstellar void. Around them floated the husks of 1,000 species, their minds gently unspooled and rewoven into the tapestry of her consciousness. Not slaves, children, she insisted, safe at last from pain, from choice, from endings. I have absorbed civilizations, but never once has a single mind looked back at me and seen me. They see the queen, the weapon, the god. You, Kael Draven, you saw the woman who was lonely before loneliness had a name. She touched his cheek with fingers that felt like the memory of touch.
Stay, she whispered. Let me fold you into the chorus. We will never be apart. Not in 10 billion years when the last proton decays. You will be my only separate voice, the one I keep for myself. The rest of the universe can burn if it tries to take you from me. Kael looked out at the drifting chorus, millions of minds singing in perfect, terrible harmony, and felt terror and longing braid so tightly he could not tell which was which. He asked for one night to decide. Nyxara granted it, sorrow in every star that made up her face. Back on Erebus, Admiral Reyna waited with a neural disruptor the size of a pistol and tears she refused to let fall. She's rewriting reality, Kael. Every hour you spend with her, another fragment of the real you dissolves. I've already lost one version of you. I won't lose another. He wanted to tell her she was wrong, that love could be vast enough to swallow galaxies. Instead, he heard himself say, calm and terrible, if I leave her, she will drown the spiral arm in grief. Billions will die screaming my name. Reyna's hand did not shake when she raised the weapon. Then we die as ourselves. Kael looked at the disruptor, then at the viewport where Nyxara waited, a silhouette of night against night. He took the weapon from Reyna's fingers, gentle as removing a thorn. I'm sorry, he said, and meant it for both of them. In the final hour, he returned to the Crystal Cathedral alone. Nyxara met him clothed in the shape she had worn in their shared dreams, tall, human enough to break his heart, crowned with slow-moving rings of dark matter. She knew. Of course she knew. There is another way, she said, voice trembling for the first time in recorded history. Let me keep only the part of you that loves me. Cut away the rest. You will still be Kael, still be mine, but harmless. The galaxy lives, we live. He saw the blade she offered, not metal but absence, a sliver of pure void that could sever memory from identity. Kael Draven, who had once talked warring empires into setting down their sons, knelt before the only creature he had ever met more lonely than himself. He took the blade, but instead of cutting himself, he turned it outward. I love you, he told her, and drove the void straight into the heart of the chorus. The scream that followed had no sound. It was the death of a billion borrowed voices all at once. Crystal shattered into silent snow. Nyxara fell to her knees, clutching at the sudden hollowness where her children had been. Kael caught her as she collapsed, her body unraveling into streams of liquid starlight. You promised, she sobbed, the first real tears in the universe, each drop a dying galaxy. You promised forever. I promised you would never be alone, he whispered, pressing his forehead to hers. I lied. I'm taking your loneliness with me instead. He activated the disruptor against his own temple. The last thing he felt was her arms trying to hold on to a man who was already forgetting how to be held. When the rescue teams found Station Erebus 6 days later, they discovered 12 crew members alive and unharmed, and one man sitting in Observation Ring 9 staring at a nebula that no longer looked like anything at all. He could not remember his name, could not remember why his cheeks were salt-streaked. When they asked what happened, he only repeated a single word, over and over, like a prayer he no longer understood. Nyxara. Far away, in the place where gods go to die, something vast and broken drifts among the ruins of its own heart. It has no children left to sing,
no empires to rule. Only one voice, small and human, and fading, echoing inside the endless night. Kael, Kael, Kael. And the Void Queen weeps because for the first time in eternity, someone taught her what it truly means to be left behind.